This podcast is a part of the Podmania Podcasting Network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined, as ever, by Chris O'Brien. Chris! Hello.
One day it's not going to be me here and you're not going to know how to react, and like whoever you have on to replace me is just going to be like... Wait, who's Chris? And it's going to be like mentioning an ex to someone. It's going to be awful.
Just calling out your name.
Yeah.
So, are you gently laying the seeds for when you're too big a YouTuber to do the Stardom Cast anymore?
No, but like at some point, I'm not going to be able to make a show, and you're not going to like make a recording, and you're not going to want to do it alone. So you're just going to like go to Twitter and find someone. And then you'll just say Chris by accident.
Right. So basically what you're saying is I would rather have someone, just anyone, than no one.
Yeah. I've heard what you're like the one time you had to do a solo podcast.
I feel like you're giving me backhanded compliments here.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say that my stuff was shit before I had you and Garth?
Well, I haven't listened to much of it. I've listened to one episode. It
oh
was
my
okay.
God, fuck off! The fuck is this bullshittery? My God, do you know what? I came on this podcast with every intention of being nice to you today. Fuck off.
You're only nice. You're only mean to me when Garth's around. It makes you look cool.
I am. I'm trying to be cool in front of the big hard man. That's what I'm trying to do.
Because you don't want him to pick on you.
I don't. He's a fucking scary bloke. He's a fucking scary bloke. I love whenever we talk about Garth on this podcast because he's like this presence, this overarching presence that he's like the higher power.
Yeah, the thing is, I also know for a fact that like most of the crossover we have, but there's like no crossover between the Stardom Cast listeners and the Podmania listeners.
Not one.
Because if we were, someone would have commented on that when we covered Noah. Because Jesus,
well,
some of the jokes that came out of Garth's mouth.
Oh my God, feral, absolutely feral.
Disgusting. Never trusted Geordie.
However, I will say, for those of you who don't listen to our other podcast, and this isn't a plug for our other podcast, trust me, we've got lots of Stardom stuff to talk about, and we will do in a moment, but we are in the process of getting Garth to watch his first ever Stardom match, which will be Tam Nakano versus... No, is it Arisa versus Jungle from Stardom X Stardom?
Arisa versus Jungle, still one of my favourite Stardom matches ever.
So we'll make sure that we let everyone know when that is, because it's always fun to hear Garth watch something that he's never watched before, because he is such an old man when it comes to trying new things.
It's funny when like we watched Nakajima versus Kano on it, and just his commentary was just him saying nothing, and then whenever a kick happened, oh fucking hell.
Yeah, it was. That is exactly what it was. That's all it was, just moaning whenever someone got hit. Anyway, let's talk about some Stardom news, because we have got quite a lot to talk about, considering the shows we're going to talk about should take about 5 minutes of this podcast. So we're going to start with news that was actually brought to my attention by Niagara Driver on Twitter, which is not what they're known as anymore. It's at Armani Shoe. So Niagara Driver, I've got your Twitter handle there. I got you back. And it's basically to do with Stardom's future show at the Yokohama Budokan on the 4th of April. Now, obviously, the Yokohama Budokan is where Yokohama Cinderella was back in October of last year. So they're looking at running that again on the 4th of April. Couple of interesting notes about that. Apparently, there will be half-priced women's seats, so they are going for 5,000 yen, which is £33.61, which is the exact same price as the women's only seats at the All-Star Cinderella show at Budokan. And they'll also have seats for fans aged 16 to 25 that are only $30, which is pretty damn impressive. Aside from tickets, where you can get front row seats for as little as £201, which is 30,000 yen, it's running on the 4th of April, which is the exact same date that New Japan are running Sakura Genesis at Sumo Hall. Now, irrelevant of what you think at the moment about New Japan's booking, and I'm going to cut in there because I know if I don't, Chris will moan. So,
Shite.
No, you can't.
Sure,
Be quiet.
It's big shite.
So it's bold to do it on the same day as Sakura Genesis, but I've got every faith that they will pull in people. The last time they ran the Yokohama Budokan, they ran it in front of 1,007 people, which is a really big draw. You look at other shows that have taken place. This venue only opened last year, and there's been 3 wrestling shows. One of them was Stardom show from last year. The New Japan G1 show that they ran there, which was night 16, which was a B block night, was run in front of 1,498 people. So, yes, obviously, it's more than Stardom, but it's not ridiculously more.
What did Noah draw for?
I can't find that, because that was the Chronicle Volume 4. That was the Nakajima versus Go match.
Go, yes.
But it just reports that it's on a Beamer TV. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say the attendance.
Well, it was indeed on a Beamer TV, so we got that right.
Yeah. So to be honest, I'm very, very excited about this, which again is another big show in Stardom's calendar. And again, we're only just over a month away from that show. Chris, the thing I wanted to talk to you about is, and it's potentially edging fate, shall we say, to ask this, but I'm intrigued. We're going to do our Budokan predictions at the end, but I think it would be foolish for either of us to assume that Saya is going over Utami. I think it's a lock that both of us are going for Utami. I think everybody that watches Stardom, bless Saya, is going for Utami. So my question to you, Chris, who would you like to see after the match, All-Star Cinderella, who would you like to come out and challenge Utami at Yokohama Budokan? Who would you like to see from that roster who potentially hasn't had a chance at this belt or hasn't had a chance at any belt this year? And to be fair, looking at Stardom's spreading out of title matches, there isn't many people who have had no title shot this year. So, Who would you like to go for the red belt after Saya Kamitani?
Well, if we're assuming that Oedo Tai and Stars are going to continue to be paired off. So if we just take out anyone from Stars or Oedo Tai, because we've seen that when Stardom don't do faction versus faction booking, the B shows are a bit of a mess. So that leaves DDM and... Well, at least DDM and Cosmic Angels. And it's not going to be Unagi. It's not going to be Shirakawa. Tam's either going to be a white belt champion or bald. So,
True.
So it's basically, from what I'm seeing, could be Shuri. Doubt it. Could be Azumi. Azumi wouldn't, because she's doing the Queen's Quest stuff that I pitched when she first won the title. So the only person left really in Queen's Quest is either Azumi or a Momo rematch. But also, are they going to have them headline? I don't know. If I was to pick anyone, I think Azumi would be the one who slots in the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll have gotten all of Queen's Quest out of the way. And by then, someone from either Oedo Tai or Stars will be available. But assuming they drop the Oedo Tai and Stars stuff, since there's a chance they're only doing it because they can't get Yashiko to build the Mayu feud. A Tora match, maybe? I can see them doing that. I'm not saying I'd like it, but I can see them doing that. I'd like to see Saki get an actual shot.
I agree with everything you said there.
It's so weird when that happens.
But my only issue is, I mean, I'm a massive nerd and I've done all the stats because I'm a massive dork. These are only, I will just point out now, these are only correct as of the New Year's Stars show from the 10th, which was the 21st. So there have been a couple more shows since then, which I haven't had a chance to update. But looking at some of these, you look at... Oedo Tai, you've got B. Priestley potentially. B. Priestley has been really, really well protected. She's got, she's got a negative win-loss record. She's 5-9, but she's only taken one pinfall all year. So, a B. Priestley title shot is now the realms of possibility. I'm not saying that, that should headline Yokohama. And I think that's the thing. Yokohama is going to be a bigger show. Okay, so I think you do need a name.
Yokohama's only going to be drawing as much as they used to at pre-plague at Korakuen.
Yes, I agree.
So, and they've headlined B and Utami at Korakuen in B Drain when both weren't as nearly as established as they are now. So that's not at all out of the possibility.
Okay, I mean, you've got Azumi, which is definitely an option and something that I will be buzzing to see.
It'd be like Sonic the Hedgehog versus Bowser.
It really would. That's a great analogy. You've got, I mean, the highest winning percentage as of New Year's Stars Night 10 is Himika. Himika's 12-4 in all matches. Now, obviously, she's tag champ, and I don't know if I'd want to see another Himika versus Utami match yet. I mean, it would be a good story, obviously, playing off their match in the final of the 5-star. Mayu, I think, she's got too many feuds as it is. She's already feuding with Tam, with Oedo Tai, this match with Yashiko. So, very nearly said Yoshihiko. That's
Yoshihiko, they're two very different kind of wrestlers.
I imagine Mayu would have a fantastic match with Yoshihiko, to be fair.
I don't know whose neck would be abused more.
There are many, many people there. I don't think Saki would be headlining this show. I'd like to see Saki go for a singles championship. I really would. And I think she will be a really good white belt defense for someone. Definitely, but I don't see her in the red belt picture. Tora, potentially, they're doing a really good job at the moment of rehabbing Oedo Tai and Tora in particular. So yeah, that's not out of the realms of possibility. I think it's a little bit too soon after that bit of a shocker white belt match against Julia. And then, of course, you've got to think, well, if Julia loses the white belt to Tam, you've got Julia with no belt. Is it too early to have Julia versus Utami?
If they continue the partnership we have going with Seedling, you can have Yashiko or Nene go for it. Especially if Nene beats Momo and goes to like beat your leader, I can beat you.
I think of the two matches, that's the more likely one.
Yeah. I definitely think that's more like, just because she's already facing someone in Queen's Quest, that'll be a more natural progression. But also, if Yashiko beats Mayu, then that means, because that could be cool. Like, Yashiko beats Mayu, goes on to beat Utami, because we've been thinking about this for ages, who could naturally beat Utami, and like with the exception of Momo, we can't really think of anyone. So if Yashiko beats Utami, and then that can lead to like further matches with Mayu, that could be really good. This is absolute fantasy booking.
Oh God, 100%. 100%.
It's like, I always want to preface that just in case people think I have like some exclusive sauce. I don't. I just think that would be a cool way to book it.
It's a cool story. I'm going to stick with my Julia winning the 5-star booking. I think she loses the belt. Well, we'll talk about Budokan when we get to the predictions.
We should just fire through these shows very quickly, because with the exception of like 2 matches, I have next to nothing to say.
I want to talk about some Budokan ticket news, but I'll do that when we're talking about Budokan after the 3 matches that we've seen. Io Shirai, Chris, did you know that WWE have given permission for Io Shirai to partake in the Stardom show on the 3rd of March? Did you know that? And it must be true, because Ringside News, their headline, WWE allows Io Shirai to participate in Stardom show.
In the same way that The Rock appeared at Bound for Glory.
Honestly, what fucking horrendous clickbait.
They're not technically lying. Okay, so I don't want to start beef with Ringside News, because I've already had one person with 30,000 followers be mad at my takes this week. But thing is with that, they're literally just trying to get people to click on it. There's no technically lies, and if anyone shares it without reading the article, quite frankly, they're the idiot. But at the same time, don't get people's hopes up like that.
It's not fair, is it? It's not
to be fair. it's not as bad as it's not like they put like a photo of her in a Stardom ring. Like we literally just put a screenshot of the video, didn't we?
Yeah, for those who don't know, it's a video basically from Io Shirai basically saying well done to Stardom for getting to his 10 years and talking very briefly about her time there. From what I can gather, I haven't been able to find a translation, so if there's anyone out there who wants to translate it, wonderful. But that's what I gleaned from it. I think it's about a minute long, something like that. So when I saw afterwards, the Ringside News had put it, and again, you're absolutely right, Chris. They are not telling any lies whatsoever. But just the way they've worded it is like, why? Why have you worded it like that? That's so unnecessarily clickbaity.
It's like saying, I don't know. It's like saying that we're the biggest podcast and then putting in little brackets containing someone from Stoke and someone from the east coast of Scotland.
I was just going to say, this is 100% the strongest and most followed Stardom podcast coming out of Stoke-on-Trent. Definitely. I can say that with full full confidence. But
I was about to say I'm possibly the biggest Scottish voice in Joshi, but then the fucking English Tokyo Joshi commentators from fucking Scotland, isn't it? So...
Yeah, sorry, mate. Let's move on then from that clickbait to something else that completely triggered the entire wrestling fandom, apparently.
I fucking hate that word.
I know.
It's one of those words that used to mean something, and then the internet just stole it. And ruined it. Jesus Christ, just stop ruining words. I like words.
Of course, I'm talking about the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards from 2020, which were posted today. Not today. They were posted at some point over the last couple of weeks.
I was pretty sure it was over the weekend, and I'm like... this is I swear to God, one of the reasons I left Twitter the first time was because of these fucking Observer Awards, because my timeline just gets completely fucking taken over with it. And everyone seems to think it's just Meltzer who did it, when apparently he didn't even vote. Oh my God, I hate these fucking awards, because they just turn my timeline into an unusable fucking mess for the whole fucking weekend. I hate it.
Couple of things. The amount of hate that was flung was unreal. Saying that, oh, Dave just likes AEW. Well, it was a fan-voted thing. So I don't really know what you want Dave to do about that, but never mind. That's not the reason I brought this up. Obviously, we are a Stardom podcast, and it was amazing to see quite a lot of Stardom representation in the awards, and that's all really that I wanted to go into. I just want to go through who's in the awards, basically. So you look at the Luthez Ric Flair Award, which is the Wrestler of the Year, basically, and Mayweathertani came 9th, which, you look at who came above him: Moxley, Omega, Naito, Ibushi, McIntyre, Bayley, Go Shiozaki, Roman Reigns. Mayu came just below them and above Chris Jericho. So in a top 10, when you think about world exposure, that's tremendous going. Tremendous going.
I think one thing people forgot with these awards was the most people put in the most prominent positions in the most prominent companies are more likely to win. And Stardom, as much as it can feel like one of the biggest things in the world when you're in that ecosystem, is still a niche.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Like when people seem to think, people seem to think like Noah are as big as New Japan, and they're not. And they're big and they're growing, and I hope they'll be in that position soon. But they're in reality, if you let me put it this way, I can mention someone from New Japan to Gaff, our resident old person, and he'll probably know who they are. He'll probably have some vague recollection of who they are.
Yeah.
If I mention Goji Izaki, Swama, Kenta Miyahara, they're not going to know. He's not going to know who they are. It's that kind of thing with Stardom. It's kind of, it's I know it's not the second biggest in terms of ticket sales, but in terms of outside recognition, it's probably the second biggest promotion coming out of Japan in terms of what Western fans enjoy. It's definitely one of the most accessible, but it's still not gonna it's who won the women's? It was Bayley, wasn't it?
It was Bayley, and Mayu came second, and Julia came Julia came 7th. So
for the size of Stardom, that's fucking massive, especially since
huge.
They've run only a few shows over there, and in terms of exposure, the biggest exposure we've probably had on non WWE or non like Stardom programming is when May was Women of Honor champion.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's massive. That's really good. That's incredibly good for where we are. Because I saw someone going, "Well, why isn't May number one?" It's like because most of the people probably didn't see her output. That's probably it.
Exactly. I mean, just looking at promotion of the year, Stardom came fourth.
Came fourth. Who beat it?
AEW, New Japan, WWE. The three biggest promotions in the world. Then Stardom. Stardom above UFC, Pro Wrestling Noah, Impact Wrestling, Dragon Gate, Ring of Honor, and DDT.
I'm glad Ring of Honor made it. But, yeah, that's, like, for their size, that's incredibly good.
It's absolutely outstanding, is what it is.
Yeah, like, Velkage mentioned it with the Voices of Wrestling one, where he would understand how many Joshi matches made it onto there. Because a fair few made it onto there. So, like, in terms of, like, a niche, it's a niche that's growing, and I think its representation in awards, either its representation in awards is showing that, or its representation of awards show how loud the fans can be. Because Joshi fans can be loud.
They can, but again, I mean, that the representation doesn't stop there. In the Japan Most Valuable Player Award, Mayweathertani came fifth. So that's every Japanese wrestler, and Mayu has come top 5, which is testament to just how good her year was last year.
Who beat her?
You're going to love this.
Is it Okada?
Hang on. Naito first, which I think is fair.
Fair.
Ibushi second. Go Shiozaki came third, which again, completely fair. I think that top 3 is fairly fair. And
that top 3 makes sense, yeah.
And then Okada.
Fuck off. He was shit last year. You can't convince me otherwise.
No, I'm with you, unfortunately. He didn't captivate me. And then we go to the women's MVP, which we've already talked about. Mayweathertani coming second, which is tremendous. When you think Bayley came first, third, fourth are Sasha Banks and Asuka, which is just, it's tremendous. Hikaru Shida fifth, Io Shirai sixth, and then Julia in at 7. That's amazing. I will just say, special mention as well, Hana Kimura came tied 10th, which is just, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, yeah, awesome. And then I think there's one more, and I can't remember where it is. Oh, yeah, Most Improved. Most Improved, second, Julia.
Well, to be fair, she's probably my Most Improved last year. Who won?
Britt Baker.
She didn't improve. What the fuck?
She did, mate. She was dog shit at the start of 2020.
Yeah, she went from dog shit to the minimum she should possibly be being on national television. Jesus.
Finally, my favourite award, I think, of the entire thing is the Bryan Danielson Award, which Bryan Danielson never wins.
Yeah, he hasn't won it since. When's the last time he won it? Hang on.
I don't think he's ever won it.
No, he has won it because it was named after him because he kept winning it.
I don't know. Well, he hasn't won it in a while, definitely.
Wrestling Observer Award. To be fair, I know that Sabre Jr. won it this time, which is bad because he's not actually, like, he's been a decent tag wrestler this year, but in terms of, like, technique, I wouldn't say most outstanding with Bryan Danielson. Where is it? I've lost it. It's the most outstanding wrestler one, right?
The best technical wrestler.
Best technical wrestler. Keep talking.
Okay. So the top 3 were Zack Sabre Jr., Daniel Bryan, and Jonathan Gresham. But the reason I bring it up is because in 9th position, Syuri. So, do you know what? I'm happy with that. When you consider that 8th was Minoru Suzuki, I think that's a brilliant place to be.
Danielson won it every year from 2005 to 2013.
What's the year I was thinking then that he didn't win? I don't know. I was thinking of something else.
Because Sabre's won it every year from 14 to 20. He's close to beating Danielson's record. But to be fair, I literally think it's because he's in a very prominent... Like, 2014, 15, 16, I'll even give, like, 17 and 18, like, on merit, right? But, like, 19 and 20, I think it's just because when someone says technical wrestling right now, you think of Sabre.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, you are. So let's move on then from the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards and the Stardom representation to talk some Kaguma. And again, this translation comes courtesy of at 1222 Dragon Moon on Twitter, who I again encourage everyone to go and follow because they provide fantastic translations from Japanese publications. And this is from Mayu's column in Shupro. So I just want to go through this, and it says, I'm the only one in the roster right now who has worked with all of the Stardom alumni, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing many of them again in the Stardom ring. The most surprising participant for me in the Rumble is Koguma. I was very frustrated and mortified at winning the high-speed title in 2015. Koguma debuted 3 years later than me, but took the title I had strived to win since my debut before me from my goal, Io Shirai. Sorry, hiccuped. Koguma seemed to be a born wrestler. She had amazing speed with great offensive and defensive skills and was also mentally strong. I felt inferior to her in all aspects, so when she left Stardom, I really hoped she wouldn't come back or I'd quickly lose my position. However, at the 3rd of March Budokan show, I'm planning to ask Koguma to return to Stardom and join STARS. I used to feel threatened by her greatness, and I want the current roster to experience the same threat. Such feelings and resulting rivalries will surely help them step up their games. And then finally, I think the Rumble is going to be really entertaining, and I'd love to see something unexpected. I wonder how Yusupan will draw all the attention to herself, which is what she always wants. Will we see some teamwork from BYU and chaos caused by Venom Arm and Shout? I can't wait. So this is going to tie into one of the feuds, or one of the all-out wars, in quotation marks, that started from these 3 shows that we're going to talk about in a moment. I watched a little bit of Koguma on the recommendation from someone in the Discord, and I can't remember who it was. And I was really, really impressed with what I saw. Really impressed. And if she's another body that Stardom are going to bring in, which it looks like they might do, I am very, very, very impressed. I'm very excited. Can't wait, Chris.
Yeah. Like at this point, because the roster, in terms of like just who's in what faction, the roster's starting to run out of feuds, or at least run out of fresh matches, because we burnt through a lot of them over the last few months. So like one extra body could mean a lot for Stardom, and especially if it's a legacy name who you don't need to spend a few months establishing, like you've had to do with Shirakawa or even Unagi. That's only really a good thing. And like assuming they like book her right and we don't just waste her or put her in the wrong division. Because we sort of saw that with Rio, where they sort of just didn't know what to do with her for several months, and then she's back in AEW now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Final bit of news that's not related to Budokan anyway. Just a update on Jungle Kiona's injury. She is now walking and doing light exercise. She's posted a lot of photos to Twitter where she's seen in the gym. She can't run yet, but she is on her feet, which is wonderful, really good news. But again, no real sort of plan for her return as of yet. I think the original prognosis was 9 months when she originally went out, which we're looking at 5-star time before we see Jungle Kiona in the ring again. So I just wanted to make that point to everyone, and obviously we wish Jungle all the best. Hopefully she is back in a ring sooner rather than later, because she is fucking great, and we have a very, very tasty feud between her and Konami to ignite. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Shall we talk, Chris, then, about some of the New Year's Stars dates that go up to our current day? Now, at the time of recording, the shows from the 27th and the 28th of February, the Nagoya shows, hadn't been uploaded in full. In fact, the 27th only got uploaded this morning, English time. So I haven't had a chance to watch that, and I know Chris hasn't. So the shows we're going to be talking about are the shows from the 20th, the 21st from Shinkiba, and the 23rd from Osaka. So yeah, you're just going to have to bear with us in that case. What we'll do is when we do our review of Budokan, we'll just whip through the results of those shows that lead up to Budokan and any important information before we go into our Budokan review. So, let's talk about Stardom New Year's Stars Night 9 from the 20th of February. Shinkiba first ring in front of 146 people. Singles match opens up with Tam Nakano defeating Lady C at 5 minutes and 46 seconds with the Violet shooting. And then we go on to our second match, which is the Unagi 7-match series match 4, with Himeka defeating Unagi Sayaka at 12 minutes and 36 seconds with the powerbomb. I quite enjoyed this match, Chris. Himeka wanting to prove it's a different dynamic. We talked about how each of the matches that Unagi is going to have throughout this series, she's going to have different sort of. It's basically your whole Pokemon gym thing. You're going to face a rock Pokemon, a psychic Pokemon, a lightning Pokemon. You're going to face different challenges with each person, and whereas this was quite similar to the Julian matches in some way, Himeka wasn't looking to embarrass Unagi, she was looking to just prove she was the strongest, simply to establish the hierarchy. For the first few strikes, Unagi was floored after one, but I quite enjoyed the story of, the longer the match went on, the more impressed Himeka seemed to be, and the further we got into the match, the more it takes to actually put Unagi down. Once she powers out of the Boston Crab, which gets a great response from the crowd, let's say, we get a superb close call when Unagi counters a JP coaster into a roll-up. That looked brilliant, was really, really, really smooth. But then Himeka loses patience and pins her with a powerbomb. Not the running powerbomb, but just a powerbomb. Unagi still yet to submit. It was a good match, but it did feel very similar to the Julia match earlier on.
That's the thing with these matches. They're basically what's different is what Unagi's opponent brings to him, because in terms of structure, they're kind of the same. Where at the beginning, the opponent will be basically playing with their food, and then through a mixture of their hubris and Unagi's fighting spirit, she'll get a few hook spots in, and then she'll get put down. It's the sort of same, the same structure every time. It's just the only real difference is who she's wrestling and what they bring to the table, because of course the Himeka match is going to be different from an Azumi match.
Yeah, 100%. And something I want to talk about actually during the next match of this series, the 5th match against Konami, there's something I want to talk about in that regard, because that match, I thought the Konami match, was different to anything else we'd seen. And I'll go into that in a little bit. I gave this 2 3/4 stars. It was fine. It certainly wasn't the best match of the series, but it was a necessary one, with Unagi still yet to pick up a singles victory in Stardom. Right, now, there's probably 2 things, maybe 3 if you count the Rumble, that we'll be talking about in any sort of detail over these 3 shows, because, we use the phrase road 2 shows, and never has that been more appropriate than these 3 shows. One of the big things we're going to be talking about is time limit draws. And so this match was an 8-woman tag: Donna Del Mondo, Julia Mack, and Natsupoi and Saya versus Queen's Quest, Azumi, Momo Watanabe, Saya Kamitani, and Utami, ending in a 15-minute time limit draw. Now, over the run of these 3 shows that we are going to talk about, should I say, we see Stardom's 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th time limit draw. So at the start, or by the end of February, 2 months into the calendar year, okay, we will have seen 10 time limit draws. In fact, on the next show, we had 2 time limit draws that fucking followed each other. Now, I completely understand the booking scenario behind it. You are going into the biggest show of the year, and you don't want anyone to look weak. But you've got to have someone take the pinfall at some point. You can't keep everyone strong heading into a show. Otherwise, what's the point in putting on a show? Okay, because we've had so many time limit draws. Just looking at some of these already, Saya Kamitani has had 5 time limit draws. Momo has had 5 time limit draws. Azumi's had 5 time limit draws. It gets to the point that when you get to a certain point in a match, you just know it's going to go to a time limit draw. I mean, rewatched a tag match from the 23rd, sorry, Maika and Himika versus Saya Kamitani and Utami. And it got to a point where the timekeeper started quoting the sound. I was like, it's going to go to a time limit draw. It's going to go to another time limit draw. Which means that Utami and Saya Kamitani over the 3 shows didn't eat a pinfall and didn't gain a pinfall at all over the run of 3 shows. Why? It lessens the impact so much. It's such a cop-out. And actually, this one, of the 4 draws that we see over the run of 3 shows, this draw was the one that made the most sense. Because you had possibly 8 of your strongest wrestlers here. And I understand this, and Donna Del Mondo and Queen's Quest have great chemistry, they're very similar teams, and often you will have that go into a time limit draw. I understand that, that's fine. You've got Utami and Saya Kamitani who are in the semi-main at Budokan, Julia who's in the main at Budokan, Azumi and Natsupoi who are taking place, the match is taking place, at Budokan. Are you telling me that you couldn't have someone in this match take the pinfall? Okay? And let's take that out of this for a moment. Are you telling me there are other matches on these 3 cards that you couldn't have someone take the pinfall? Stars were in a 4-on-3 handicap match. Are you telling me that Saya Iida couldn't have taken the pin? I mean, the entire thing was that they were up against the odds. Okay? Surely it builds into your story that Stars lose that match. Baffling. Absolutely baffling booking. I just don't understand it. Because by just giving us time limit draws with all these people, it just makes you think, well, what the hell is the point in tuning in for these shows? Just, yeah, utter nonsense. And it really, really annoyed me. Especially the 2 that followed each other on the next show. I'm done now, Chris.
Okay, so by itself, a draw is a neutral element to be used well or badly. Because quite frankly, I don't think the volume of draws really matters, because there's been a lot of draws this year, and I haven't really bitched about most of them until the one last week. So the draw itself is a neutral element to be used good or badly. A good example for me being the Aphrodite versus Momo AZ match from last year, and a bad example being Saya versus B from last week.
Agreed.
And you're right, this is exactly what I was saying last week, and I'm glad you've come around to my way of thinking, because the time limit, like, if you don't want to have someone lose, don't book the match. There's Penny is, like, you have the children and people like Death there for that exact reason. Like, that exact reason. And you're not using them properly half the time. I think that's why we've enjoyed the Oedo Tai versus Stars stuff, because that's actually had results. And the booking reason is there. The booking reason makes sense, but also you have people who desperately need to look a tad better. Like the Saya Kamitani, have us feeling like she's an absolute no-hoper. That's not good. We should feel like she has a 1 in 9 chance at least. Like at least a 10% chance of winning, and all these draws and helping her case. Because in almost all these cases, she'll hit one of her signature moves that would normally end the match, and then the bell goes off. And it worked against Utami in that tag match.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work when she does a hit, because, like, why? There's no point in just not letting her get the free. Or you can have one of either Utami or Saya take the pin and build up tension in that way. Like, a draw makes sense when there's no better option. There are plenty of pair options here that wouldn't make people look weak and would also further stories. Whereas here we have no stories furthered, and everyone looks the same. It's no different to me than when WWE used to book everyone 50-50, where they'd win 1 week, lose the next. Like, it's a scenario where no one gets over. And again, I understand it, but like also it's led to Stardom feeling a bit weird going into Budokan. Because, like, again, when we do it in singles matches, with the exception of Saya versus B1, it makes sense. They're trying to see people as equal pegging, and then when you eventually see a result, that would be nice. In the tag matches, no, what's the point? Stop going to draws all the time. It's weird. Or like at least do like here's the thing, at least do like what Ring of Honor do with the pure stuff, and when that goes to a draw, it goes to a referee's or a judge's decision. I think that's a great way to do draws.
The issue I
'Cause at
have
least you get a
is
result.
yeah, exactly. You're building your roster to be strong, and that's absolutely great. I love that, and that's the way that we can get these challenges. Okay, we can get these challenges because these women are having good performances and winning and things like that. But and I understand that they are in a little bit of a pickle at the moment because people like Hina, Rina, Hannon aren't there. Sorry, to eat the pin, basically, which I think explains, or at least partly explains, the turn later on the night. But you can't keep everyone strong at the same time. You just can't. Because if everyone is kept strong, no one looks strong because no one peeks their head above the parapet. And that's the issue. Especially in the next show. The next show, it was awfully obvious. And it really wound me up to the point where I was like, no, I need to turn the show off now. It annoyed me. It really annoyed me. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out because you're right. We had draws, but they were spaced out. It was just the volley of draws that we've had over the past couple of shows. That's like, why? What reason do we have? Natsupoi's been eating pins left, right, and fucking centre.
It's because she has the title match. It's because like basically everyone in this match has a big match going into Budokan.
Correct. But in a throwaway tag on a show that, 146 people are watching?
Mm-hmm.
An unimportant show, are you telling me there couldn't be a count-out victory? Or, Micah. Micah's been booked incredibly strong. I mean, Micah's lost, what? What's her winning percentage, Micah? She's lost 5 matches, but I'm sure she hasn't eaten I think she's only eaten the pin once.
I've had a meme idea.
Please don't.
It's Gordon Ramsay, but instead of shouting raw, he's shouting draw.
It was just very frustrating. And the fact that it kept happening really, really stuck in my craw, which was a shame.
Because that's probably getting a win over Azumi here would have helped.
Exactly.
There. Because presumably Azumi's going to get the win back at Budokan.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can build Natsupoi as Azumi's mountain to climb. Like she finally has someone who can challenge her in this style.
I don't think Natsupoi's been booked well at all leading up to this. At all.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I mean, she got a pinfall over Saki, but then was pinned by Saki the very next show.
We should go into the booking of that specific match when we get to the match, because otherwise we're just going to be on the draws forever, shall we just?
Yeah, let's move on to the Future of Stardom Championship match. The 4th match on the card, the semi-main, with champion Saya defeating Seedlings Honori Hana at 9 minutes and 31 seconds with the Lariat. Chris, what did you think of this match?
It was really good. It was simple stuff, but simple stuff done very well. There wasn't really any timing issues. Honori Hana strikes me as someone who's going to be really good one day. How long? She's only been gone for a year, so mighty impressive. Saya is becoming more of a beast by the day. It's ridiculous. This is probably one of the better Future of Stardom matches we've had in a while. But again, it's more of a token belt for people they want to do big things with. Like you can see the direct lineage of Utami giving it up and then getting a white belt defense. Micah giving it up and getting a red belt match. So it's basically just to highlight this is who we think is going to be cool from our current crop of rookies. And since all the other rookies have shit going on, it's defaulted to Saya. But she's been doing a great job. I've been referring her reign to Micah's, and Honori Hana's really good. I've enjoyed what I've seen from her in Seedling. And it was just a nice little clash. It's why I kind of hope the Seedling and Stardom things keeps going on for a little while longer after Budokan, because it could be something quite cool, assuming they keep people on sort of equal pegging instead of doing what Noah and New Japan did, where New Japan was like, Noah, you're going to die now.
I must admit, I did really enjoy this match. They've got 2 very similar styles, and the styles complemented each other really well. Considering
I was surprised, because Honori Hana and Sue and Seedling, because of course people in Seedling are a bit taller than they are in you look at Yashiko and Nene. So, like, I know Iida's short even for Stardom, but, like, I was surprised at the height difference.
There was a distinct height difference between the pair, definitely. Yeah. I think considering she's Hannah, has only been going since December 2019. I think she looks very solid in ring. Like I said, there was nothing that stood out as a botch or anything like that. And yeah, I think this is probably the strongest, certainly of Saya Iida's reign, the strongest Future of Stardom Championship match. They were just hitting each other with bombs, but doing it at quite a deceptively quick pace. I'd like it. I mean, we've talked about, and I think we had a question about it a couple of podcasts ago, where someone said, who's next for the Future of Stardom Championship show? And we actually lamented about how we haven't got many people, 3 years and below now, that would actually challenge for the Future of Stardom Championship. And if they are going to partner with other Joshi promotions like Seedling, like Marvelous, and that's where we get those matches from, I'm all for that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
question is, though, Chris, what did you give it?
Oh, 3.5. Really good, but not quite a match of the year.
I gave it 3.25. Let's move on then to the main event, which is the huge talking point of this show, which was the 8-woman tag between the Oedo Tai team of Bea Priestley, Konami, Natsuko and Saki Kashima, defeating the Stars team of Gokiken Death, Mayweathertani, Ruaka, and Starlight Kid at 10 minutes and 42 after Ruaka turned heel.
Like, of course, how could Oedo Tai win? They had absolutely a team full of pin eaters, unlike the Stars team, who had Death. But the turn was cool, to be fair. I'm always here for a chair shot. The match itself was fine, but I am enjoying that Oedo Tai are basically abducting all of Stars' children.
They are the embodiment of the child catcher.
No, it's not so much for child catchers, so much as the emo kids your child sees is cool. Like, they're offering them cigarettes. They're like, oh, have some White Lightning. Have you ever listened to The Cure? That's literally it. There's, like, Oedo Tai is a faction, and Oedo Tai is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you let your children listen to rock and or roll. It ruins them. I'm saying that as someone whose Discord profile photo is them in full makeup. Yep. And with their long hair. I really can't, like, pretend that's not me. Yeah, it's just I liked this as a story more than I liked it as a match. As a match, it was fine. Just everyone's good in the match, even Ruaka, who's a child and is now a child abducted by the emos. So
I really enjoyed, like, they built it really well in the pre-match promo. Ruaka was complete deadpan whilst Mayu and Starlight were talking. There was no Stars symbol as they went to off-camera. Speaking about the match, I love the fact that Oedo Tai were just subverting all of Stars' very campy offense. Like, when Stars had got all of Oedo Tai locked in those submissions, B just refused to be locked in and then just threw Ruaka into Starlight like a bowling ball. I thought that was great. No, fuck this. And they all went down like dominoes. I also really enjoyed Konami taking none of Gokiken's shit and just trying to wipe off her makeup in a page straight from the Julia Book of Shithousery. Love that. Thought that was great. Yeah, the turn for Ruaka worked. It was fine. I mean, you could argue that she will be Oedo Tai's pin eater till Rina returns, but it makes sense. She was never given a choice as to whether she wanted to be in Stars. It was just a case of she was absorbed after Tokyo Cyber Squad imploded. The chair was quite obviously broken before Ruaka could hit Mayu with it, and you could see her, bless her, trying desperately to keep it all together before she dinked Mayu on the head with it. And then there was a great moment just before the pinfall where the two people beating the shit out of Mayu were Ruaka and Saki, the two people to leave Stars and join Oedo Tai. I thought that was a really nice visual. And then, of course, Saki's the one who gets the pinfall. I will just say that Tora's promo at the end of this match was tremendous. The best promo she has cut since I have been watching Stardom. Mayu declares war on Oedo Tai. Starlight says, well, don't worry, because we've got Hanan returning, which will make it 5-on-5, which was a bold claim. Tora then cuts...
Oedo Tai is just going to steal that kid as well.
Exactly.
Have you ever played Pokemon Coliseum?
No.
So in that game, if a Pokemon has like it has shadows over it, it means you can steal it from that trainer.
Right.
So that's basically what's happening here.
Tora cuts the best, like say, most deadpan promo ever, asking whether is Hanan actually going to make any difference whatsoever, and basically just asks Mayu to think about why people keep leaving her, which I thought was quite nice.
It'd be funny if she was like, "Don't we already have her? Oh no, we have people."
I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it 3.25 stars, Chris.
No, I gave it 3. It was fine.
Let's move on then to night 10, and that sort of plays in, obviously, to the stuff from the night we've just spoken about. Night 10 from the 21st of February, again from Shinkiba First Ring. Couple of results before we get into the actual matches I want to talk about. Mai Himi defeated Tam Nakano and Lady C at 4 minutes and 44 seconds with the Udi Hishigi reverse cross. I apologise, I butchered that. Couple of things I just want to mention from this. I'm not going to review the match or rate it or anything, but Maika's reversal out of the Lady C chokeslam into the Udi Hishigi, which is basically a cross arm breaker, was tremendous. It was smooth as silk, and I still don't understand the mechanics of how she got from a chokeslam position into that cross arm breaker. It doesn't make physical sense, but it looked amazing. There is an ongoing storyline apparently with Tam trying to persuade Lady C to join Cosmic Angels, and Lady C not understanding that you don't have to have big boobs to join Cosmic Angels, which is absolutely fucking hilarious. Which just absolutely outstanding. I think Lady C would be a great fit for Cosmic Angels personally.
Yeah, it's a stable full of rookies that are older than you'd think. So.
Exactly. And plus, if they want to elevate Unagi, they stop. They need to have someone else to take the pins.
They need to have someone below her. Yeah.
Exactly. Because she is the inherent pin eater, especially until Mina re-debuts.
That seems to be what Cosmic Angels booking is. It's like, okay, we'll have it be Tam and Mina, but oh no, we want to elevate Mina. Okay, get Unagi. Oh shit, we want to elevate Unagi. Get someone else quickly.
Couple of matches that I'm not going to talk about because I'll get angry. The second match was 6-woman tag with the Donna Del Mondo team of Julia, Natsupoi and Syuri, and the Oedo Tai team of B, Natsukatora and Sakishima going to a time limit draw of 10 minutes. And then the 4-on-3 handicap match, which really wound me up. Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Momo, Saya Kamitani and Utami, and the Stars team of Mayu, Saya Ida and Starlight Kid going to another time limit draw of 10 minutes. Why?
Because they couldn't beat them in 10 minutes. Rob, that's how time goes.
Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, the match...
To be fair, if I can throw my 2 cents, both these matches were good. Like, DDM and Oedo Tai always work well together, as do Queen's Quest and Stars. None of the matches were like bad matches. I just don't like the result.
But that's the thing. Once I saw that they were time limit draws, I was just like, do you know what? I'm not bothered. Two that follow each other as well. Really? Why? Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
I don't think the DDM one was versus Oedo Tai one was all that egregious. They've had plenty of results between each other. I think I do think the QQ versus Stars one makes absolutely no sense. And like the 10-minute time limit, so like it's not as egregious as if they went 15. Like we did the previous night, where we actually had more time to like build toward the finish, because But yeah, I have no problem with the DDM one. I just don't understand the
4-on-3 handicap match going to it. Because how does that build your red belt and challenger if they can't put away 3 people in a handicap match?
Saya Ida even had a fairly big win on the last show. You can just sort of have her take a quick, even a flash pin. A flash pin would have been perfect.
This was the perfect match for Saya Kamitani to get the pinfall.
Yeah, or even like Starlight, who has like nothing much going on at the moment. She can afford to take a pin until we're building it back up.
Exactly. She's just come out of a white belt program. A very short white belt program, but a white belt program.
Yeah, and like that's the normal order of things in Stardom. You get elevated for a title match, and then you get thrown back down. So like, why didn't you just throw her back down? It's weird. It's a weird one, Roberts.
I know. It really is. And let's move on because I'm getting cross.
You're always cross.
Semi-main then, Unagi's 7-match series, match 5. Konami defeating Unagi Sayaka at 9 minutes and 50 seconds with the triangle arm lock. Now, this match was weird for me, Chris, and it highlighted a couple of areas that Unagi still needs to work on. Up until this match, the only match really that she's had any sort of sustained offense was against Azumi. Yet here, Unagi was on top for quite a lot of this match, more than I think anyone really expected her to. But she doesn't do anything with that offense. It's the same 5 moves, and I think it's great. They're doing a really, really good job of building Unagi's babyface fire. And I really like that. I think it's a great character trait to have. But she can't just be someone giving Tam the hot tag, which is what it feels like at the moment. This 7-match series is not just an excuse for people to line up and beat the piss out of her. You do need to give her some time to develop an offense, which, I'm not seeing. It's the same 5 moves. It's the frog splash, the spine buster, which is called something else, and I know it's called something else, and I can't think what it's called. It's named after another samurai. It's the finisher attempt, which everybody rolls out of, and it's the leg drop. It's just the 4 moves. There's no adaptation. There's no growth in her offense. In terms of a defensive wrestler where she is on the back foot, I think Unagi's doing really well. Okay, and this is not me ragging on Unagi at all. But for her to have the most offense out of her 7-match series against Konami seems weird. And for her to have this 7-match series of singles matches, where she is the only singles match on these cards, and not develop her offense, that needs to be the thing for me. I need to see more in her offense, because that was the issue, if you recall to her debut and all the way through. That's the issue I've had with Unagi. It's the fact that her offense is very bland and she doesn't have a lot. And what she does, she sticks to. There's no adaptation. I know every wrestler has their moveset, but they will adapt and they'll, look at different ways of getting into it. Whereas Unagi still see, and I know she is a rookie in the grand scheme of things, but I still need to see. It feels like a Young Lion series is effectively what this is.
Yeah, it's just her getting. Yeah, you've basically said it all. She's sort of not developing her offense, and despite the fact she's getting fairly prolonged hope spots in every match. And that's because you saw during Tag League, which was sort of Mina's test, she developed her issues throughout those matches. Whereas I feel like Unagi's not been doing that. I feel like, but also I guess these matches are fairly close to each other. So what could she put in between a match with a day between each other?
Yeah, I get that, and obviously we've got the same issue then as regards to 6th match as well. So I do understand that, but the first match to this match, I've seen nothing, and I feel like we need to see more from this. Other than that, I thought the best bit was a wonderful slap to the face by Konami to Unagi, and apparently she hit her that hard that she even surprised herself with this slap, because she slapped it, then turned to the crowd laughing with the noise it made. So that really tickled me. There's also great.
How come Walter never does that? How come he's never surprised at how powerful he is?
Because he knows how powerful he is. Look at the fucking size of the man.
No one needs to tell Walter how powerful he is. He just knows.
There's also a great moment where someone clearly knocks the ring bell by accident, and Konami, who's just taken a move, half forgets to sell it in order to check they haven't gone over time. It was wonderful. Shit. Oh no, it's alright. Someone just knocked into it.
Yeah. To be fair, Konami picking up a fairly decisive win against the single stars is a pretty good way to go into Budokan.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine for Konami. I mean, don't get me wrong. No one is ever going to think that she's not winning this. I don't know. These two just don't seem to have great chemistry, and
Konami might have believed in herself.
Maybe. I gave it 2.5 stars.
Yeah, so did I. Actually, no, because there was one too many bits where it's not taking the match seriously. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad match. I'm just saying it's sort of below average.
Yeah.
I'm feeling 2.
It's certainly the weakest of the matches so far in her trial series.
Yeah, which is a shame because you'd expect Konami to be like the most aggressive, apart from maybe Julia.
Yeah, exactly.
But weirdly, May's been the most aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. So we then move on to match 5, which was the Stardom Rumble with Ruaka winning the Stardom Rumble by last eliminating Saya Ida at 14 minutes and 6 seconds. Chris, I have a feeling that you have thoughts on this.
I don't care. I don't like unless it's the Royal Rumble. I don't care about Rumbles because Royal Rumbles they managed to at least get it down to a T. 9 times out of 10, I'm drunk and I'm watching it with someone. Right? That's the only reason I like the actual Royal Rumble. Rumbles other than that, I don't fucking care. I don't like them. But New Japan Rambo, get in the fucking bin. Get in the fucking bin. The only reason I'm fine with the Legends one is because it's gonna pop long-time Joshi fans. And that's like a pretty good thing. And that's what makes the good New Japan Rumbles good, is because they pop them with like the Tokyo Dome crowd. Like Scott Norton comes out, yay, Scott Norton's here. No, it's like we were like, you know what this felt like? Have you ever been to like a really shit indie show? Like one of those like live American wrestling at like Bolton Town Hall? And
what an oddly specific thing to say.
Well, that was my first ever wrestling show.
Okay.
And they clearly don't have enough people to cover a card, so we just have a massive rumble at the end. That's what this felt like, which is weird because I don't know, because like something like the four team elimination, that kind of works. Even if this was like for the draft or something, I'd be fine with it. But like there's no point in this match, and because there's like the whole roster's here, and they only wanted to go 15 minutes. It wasn't even paced well because everything just happened too fast and no one had a chance to do any sort of memorable spots. It was kind of just there, and like I was just sort of in a coma for the whole thing. And who cares? I don't book random rumbles. They're not good.
I really enjoyed this.
I fucking hate them. But those rumbles are not good. They're objectively not good matches.
Look, it's a bit of fun, and the bit of fun also gave us a little bit of storyline progression. You know, there was some great moments. I mean, the opening exchange between the first 4 entrants was great. Azumi, Natsupoi, Starlight, and Saki. Thought that was great. Everyone bum rushing Unagi as she hobbles to the ring, clutching her arm. Is absolutely hilarious. There was. What else was there that really made me laugh? Starlight Kid, is that... not Starlight Kid. Saya Kamitani's that excited to get to the ring. She almost goes full Titus O'Neil, and as we all know, you never go full Titus in a Rumble. The noise Julia makes as Starlight Kid surprises her by beating the shit out of her is entertaining. Julia then full on corpses at Shuri, telling her to go to the top rope. Everyone splashing Lady C in the corner, but her getting a leg up before Unagi can do it. So there were little funny bits. Momo gets a modicum of justice and eliminates B. And then Oedo Tai helping Ruaka win the Rumble by ganging up on Ida. Now, I understand that, you know, ultimately Ruaka won it. It does sort of give off the impression that why the fuck should we care? And we've actually got a question on Twitter in regards to the Rumble, which is from Phil Gerard, which is at More Films. Since the Rumble wasn't for anything, would it have been better Unagi winning, considering she hasn't won any of a trial match series? I think Ruaka winning is the correct choice, and the only reason I think that is because with so much focus on Ruaka on this turn and the all-out war between Stars and Oedo Tai, if Ruaka immediately goes in to be the pin eater instantly, it loses all sort of heat. Okay, the heel turn just falls flat. And I know that she's 16, she's a kid, and she is going to eat the majority of the pins. Hell, I think she's won 1 match this year. But giving her this, and let's face it, it was with Oedo Tai's help. Oedo Tai just basically walked into the ring and eliminated everyone else, which, you know, that sort of Oedo Tai, don't mind. I think for what it was entertaining. It really was house showy, but I loved that. You know, they didn't try and profess it to be a serious Royal Rumble type thing. I thought everyone got a little bit of a moment to shine. I thought Unagi just being beaten the shit out of was really, really funny. and I think she's playing it really, really well. But yeah, overall, I don't think we've got anything to complain about. There was a really funny moment where May throws a water bottle in tantrum at Konami and it slaps her in the back, which I thought was quite funny. But other than that, yeah, it was what it was. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun 14 minutes. I think. Are you singing the Ryback theme song? That's a choice.
I don't like. Yeah, sure, it was fun, but like, there were some fun moments. I don't rate Rumbles though.
You never have done, in fairness.
Yeah, no, because they're not like match. It's the same reason why I don't rate cinematic matches, because they're kind of not the same thing.
Let's move on to night 11 then, 23rd of February, from the Edion Arena Osaka, number 2, in front of 298 people. Just a couple of matches before we get into the 3 that we're going to look at in detail. 3-way match, Go Kick and Death defeating Ruaka and Tam Nakano in 5 minutes and 50 seconds. It's good luck for Ruaka. Singles match, Julie defeats Lady C, in 6 minutes and 59 seconds. And then a tag team match.
I figured out something when I watched this match.
Go on.
Julia's theme is a rip-off of Mike Bennett's.
Is it? Is that why you've heard it before?
Like, the guitar bit sounds like Mike Bennett's.
I'll have to compare them. Off air and see.
Again, it's just like a generic heavy guitar riff. So really,
I was just going to say, I don't think it's a rip-off. I think it's just generic. I don't think it's a rip-off. Tag team match, Queen's Quest team of Azumi and Momo Watanabe defeating the Donna Del Mondo team of Natsupoi and Saya at 12 minutes and 20 seconds. So, they are clearly capable of taking pinfalls.
Okay, just move on, because you're going to bitch about the time limit on the next one as well.
I'm not, to be fair. I've said my piece. I'm not going to say it again. Match 4, can't count. The Donna Del Mondo team of Himika and Maika versus the Queen's Quest team of Saya Kamitani and Utami Hayashita ended in a time limit draw of 15 minutes. Now,
I think this one made sense, because it's
I do as well.
Current tag champs versus the old tag champs. The old tag champs can put it away because they're infighting. I'm into it. That's a decent one.
That's fine. This made storyline sense. It's the fact that we've had 4 in 3 matches and 2 that follow, Chris, in the previous. That's why. You become so desensitized to it. Here, it made sense. Perfect sense. Tag champs, Himika and Maika. Saya Kamitani and Utami. In that pre-match promo, they still don't look at each other, and Saya didn't say anything at all. So it makes sense, the whole infighting, the whole, we're not working as a team at the moment, we're working as individuals, even though we are pretty much the only team in Stardom with an actual name. So you get that sense of unity sort of eroding before Budokan. As a match, I thought this was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really hard-hitting tag match where all 4 women looked good. The storyline made sense. It's just a shame that we'd had the draws before it that desensitized me to it. I gave it 3.5.
Good. There was no Young Bucks book versus Antonio Honda versus Dino versus Hirata versus Sakiaki versus Sakiaki picture book at the last DDT show, but it was good.
You happy you got that reference out?
I really wanted to, because I wanted to read the assessments in that match, because I know it makes you die a little inside.
You're right, it has. It has made me die a little bit inside. You know when you get that one leaf on a flower that's wilting? That's what you're doing to me, Chris. You're making me wilt. Sounds sexier than it is.
Like, I'm making you wilt because I read out a match that happened on a DDT show. A promotion that you pay half my you go halfers with me on, but yet you don't watch.
No, I've been watching Noah. I've been watching bits of Noah, but
it's good.
Match 5 then, semi-main, with Unagi Sayaka 7-match series continuing this with match 6. B. Priestley defeating Unagi Sayaka at 11 minutes and 21 seconds with the Kamigoye. Chris, what did you think of this match?
Sort of the same as the last few Unagi matches. Minus, I didn't like it as much because B. Priestley's offense is still annoying me with how it just reminds me of other people. Case in point, you won with a Kamigoye.
Mm-hmm. And who's your favourite wrestler?
Who's my favourite wrestler?
Mm-hmm. Who's your favourite wrestler? Who was the person that you do nothing but talk about? CM Punk.
See, people thought you meant Kenta Miyahara.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, so CM Punk, whose entire offense is lifted from Kenta.
I mean, not his entire offense. Kenta doesn't do a shining wizard in the corner.
It doesn't. This does not bother me in the slightest about B, because wrestling, nothing's unique anymore. So
I know, but
people are going to steal stuff. At least she hasn't just lifted Kota Ibushi's entire moveset.
No, she's lifted a bit of Kenny's as well.
Well, why is that an issue?
No, nothing. It's just because I don't know. I think it's because when you don't notice it with people like Punk or even like Suji Ishikawa, who also uses the Kamigoye. I think the reason you don't notice it with them is because of where they place it in their match. Like, it's a slightly different cadence. I feel like B Priestley puts her V trigger exactly where Kenny Omega used to put his V triggers.
I feel like you're being really pedantic about this. Like, really pedantic.
Excuse me, who was talking about the fucking stats of Stardom year earlier?
That's not pedantic. That's being thorough. This is just picking on someone for stealing a move.
I'm not picking on an individual. Like, I didn't like bring her up in someone else's match. I brought this up within her own match of why I don't enjoy her. Like, it's a reason why I don't enjoy her work as much as other people's on the roster. I'm not saying she's a bad wrestler. She definitely earns her keep in terms of match quality.
But just because she stole the Kamigoye.
No, Kota Ibushi can't comprehend that happened. It's not fair to do that to someone with no brain.
I thought it was weird owning this. They started doing like a proper lockup, and I was like, really? This match?
It's that World of Sport style, Rob.
Yeah, it was.
If you watch
it was weird.
If you watch, like, with the exception of Noah, if you watch, well, so basically, if you watch New Japan commentary, every time fucking Zack Sabre Jr. does a grapple, someone's like, "Oh, it's about World of Sport style." It's like I'm so sick of
hearing that sentence.
Yeah, I'm so sick of that fucking
sentence. Again, the huge issue I had here was whenever Unagi was on offense, her offense is just there. I'm not going to repeat myself because we talked about it in the last match with Konami. It's not helped in this match by a really sloppy looking spine buster. You never get the impression that she's winning and just gets finished off with a Kamigoye. B never looked in any trouble whatsoever. B then attacks Unagi after the bell, which results in a kick on Tam, which then crashes her head into Mina. So that was a nice way to end the match. But yeah, this was in many ways the least interesting. I found this actually less interesting than the Konami match. I don't know why. I have nothing against B or her stolen offense. Unlike Chris, but I found this quite dull, and I gave this to.
While I'm being pedantic, I also miss when she used to come to the ring to blasphemy. I missed that.
Yeah, that was a good song, very good song. I do like her new song though. To be fair, it's just not quite as good as Blasphemy.
Yeah, it's not like a piece of licensed music.
Yeah, exactly. I gave it 2.25, Chris.
I gave it 2.5. I thought it was fine. I thought it was just fine. I preferred it to the Konami match, but mostly because like B didn't break character at any point.
Main event then, 6-woman tag team match. Oedo Tai team of Natsuko and Saki and Konami defeating the Stars team of Mayu, Saida and Starlight Kid at 13 minutes and 1 second with the Kishi Kasai.
Are you telling me Oedo Tai needed a fucking pin over Stars more than anyone in Queen's Quest did, all of which have matches going into Budokan?
Mm-hmm. I know.
Otherwise, I like this.
I really like this. I liked the fact that Stars, who are, your de facto faces, your, white meat baby faces, like, yeah, go team. And they attempted to go at Oedo Tai. They attempted to basically try and beat Oedo Tai to Oedo Tai's game, and Oedo Tai were having none of it. And for the first part of this, made Stars look stupid. And I really liked that. You're not going to, with Mayu, Saya, and Starlight Kid, you are not going to out-chop and out-muscle Tora and Konami, are you? It worked really, really well. I think they've got really good chemistry, these two teams, at the moment. I'm enjoying watching them, and I actually look forward to seeing how these matches are going to elevate and what the difference is going to be between a normal feud and an all-out war. So I thought this was a really, really good precursor to that, Chris.
It has room to escalate, but it was still a fun match in its own right. It was fine. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the right team won as well.
Yeah, I wish Yashiko came out and murdered someone, but other than that,
it's weird that we haven't seen Yashiko.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Because
I say weird. It's probably because booking never matched up. She's turned up at points. It's just weird that like one of the biggest matches going into Budokan is also one of the least developed. It's like when Brock Lesnar used to only show up on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I don't know. I gave this 3.25. I thought this was great, but let's move on to Budokan. Just because I want to talk about, obviously, the card, I want to talk about our predictions, and just a little bit of ticketing information as well, and also how you can watch it at home, because I know that I think it's $50 pay-per-view price. Don't forget the pay-per-view price is actually available internationally for the first time for Stardom, which is great. But I know that some people have balked at the idea of it being $50, which it doesn't really bother me. I think if I want to watch something, I'm going to watch it. I mean, and the price point has been proved that people are going to pay it. But if you don't want to pay it, then there is another way that you can watch the show for considerably cheaper, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. In terms of the tickets to Budokan, the information that I can find, the show, the 100,000 yen tickets, which is about 672 English pounds, which is your VIP front row seats, they are all sold out. The first floor stand seats are all sold out, and the women only seats are all sold out as well. Currently, by the looks of the site, there are tickets available for the others, so the second floor stand seats, and there is another set of seats that I've lost now, but they are still available. So at the moment, it'll be interesting to see what the actual final number is when it comes to the 3rd of March. I am intrigued, Chris, as we go through this card to hear your predictions. So let's start then with the High Speed Championship match, Azumi versus Natsupoi. This is Azumi's 5th defense of the title. Now, you talked about booking very, very briefly heading into this. I think of all the matches that we have talked about, that we have discussed, I think Yashiko versus Mayu and Nene Takahashi and Momo have had understandable booking constraints. Less Momo and Nene because they at least had that match in Seedling. But here, it was very good. Here, I think Natsupoi has been booked very, very poorly.
Yeah,
in preparation for this.
Azumi kind of shrugged her off when she challenged, and then she's sort of been proven right the rest of the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, she has. She has. I mean, you look at, again, overall stats. 16 matches. Again, New Year Stars, night 10. This is correct as of. Natsupoi, 16 matches. She's won 6 and lost 9. She's lost every single tag team match she's been in and has eaten all 4 of the pinfalls. She's won all 2 of her singles matches, but then she's 4-4 in multi-women. There's nothing there that screams high-speed challenger. And I just, you look at the way that, I know that you have an issue with this, but you look at the way that they've booked Saya Kamitani, where she has been booked strong. Maybe not as strong as she could have not as strong as she could have looked, but she has been booked strong. I don't think either of us can deny that. I don't think Natsupoi's been booked strong at all. I think, in fairness, she looks like a really weak challenger, which is a shame, because as we both know, Natsupoi is fucking great.
She's great. It's a bit of a shame that they haven't really given her anything, and it's weird that they've only now started implementing tools, so like little anomalies like this. Because at the end of the day, DDM are the one faction. Actually, no, because Queen's Quest kinda, because Lady C's kind of not in there, and it's weird. But like DDM's one of those factions without a pinnier. So, I say that Natsupoi is very clearly the pinnier of it.
Yeah.
But they're one of those ones where none of them should be pinniers, because Natsupoi is too good to be a pinnier.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They will benefit massively from a rookie or a child.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just default to the high-speed person in your roster.
But with the sort of popularity of DDM, I think we're trying to go for an LIJ thing.
Which is fine, but you've got Bushi in LIJ, and Bushi, much as people seem to like Bushi. That's true. Former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion Bushi as well.
I almost bought a Bushi mask once at a show.
I think we all thank you for not doing that.
I would have rocked the fuck out of that match.
That beard coming out of the bottom of that mask would have looked ridiculous, Chris.
Oh, you have no clue what it's like when I wear a mask when I go to the supermarket. It's
less Bushi, more bushy.
That sounds like a DDT rip.
It does. I would pay to see that.
To be fair, with my beard does poke out of my mask, but at least my fucking nose doesn't. Jesus, true. I hate those people. Like, my nephew has literally learned to walk and talk in the time it's taking them to learn how to not wear a mask.
Put on a fucking mask, right? I think that we are both in agreement that Azumi is winning this.
I think we could be an upset, because they've been teasing this for a while, and I don't know how popular Natsupoi actually is in terms of like merch sales or whatever, but I know there was hype about it coming in because of the Tokyo Joshi output. Because she had a match with, I think, Sari. That got over really good.
So what are you thinking?
I think it could go either way, but like if I had my think, because I'm thinking about who else could possibly challenge Azumi, and there's no one. I think she sort of ran through other challenges.
I suppose as well, if you're looking at Azumi maybe going for the belts higher up the card, no disrespect to the High Speed Championship, but if you're looking at Azumi at maybe being another challenger for Utami for the red belt, she's already challenged for the SWA Championship. I can see Azumi holding that white belt in the same way Momo did in 2019. So,
because here's the thing, in terms of
2018, sorry,
because the High Speed belt was fucking nowhere in 2020.
No, 2019.
No, in 2020, like Rio won it.
Anyway,
Rio won it and defended it once.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly.
And like, so Azumi's done a great job at establishing it. So putting it on someone like Natsupoi, who can then have another rerun and it can go back to being this nice little undercard thing, I think that'll be really nice. Especially since then when it's on Nat. So I'd go on Natsupoi just because if I was booking, I'd want it on Natsupoi. It would help diminish the sort of wonky booking with her. And then she can go on to face a bunch more people, and it's going to be less likely who's going to win then, because Azumi is sort of all conquering in High Speed, but Natsupoi isn't, so could be good. Who knows?
Second match on the, in inverted commas pre-show, the prologue fight, is the Goddess of Stardom Championship match, 30-minute time limit, with the champion team, Maika and Himeka, taking on the Oedo Tai team of Natsuko and Saki Kashima. This one's a weird one because I like what they're doing with Oedo Tai now, and I actually wouldn't be opposed Tora and Saki having the belts. But my Himi have only just got them. I think if we were coming into this and Himeka and Maika had the belts from maybe the year-end climax show, I'd be plumping for Oedo Tai, definitely. But with Maika and Himeka only just having got the belts, I can't see them losing them already. What about you, Chris?
Here's the thing, Stardom don't give a fuck about these belts. And they haven't for months. So it literally could go either way. Not because of story reasons going in, although both have fairly decent stories coming out of it. More than Stardom don't care. It's like New Japan with their tag belts. You can never predict the New Japan tag title match because they don't care.
So, are you plumping for one, or are you just going to slag off the belts?
Well, to be honest, before you were a dick about it, I was just going to slag off the belts. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go where. But that's the thing. There's no titles going into the Stars and no Oedo Tai feud, so I'd probably just do it where plump it on Saki and Tora.
I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that happening. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting match. That The Stardom All-Star Rumble then will open the main card, and we've talked before about who is in this match. I think we've gone through over the last two shows the entrance on the current Stardom roster and the older generation of Joshi as well. I'm not going to go through them again just because there's so many, but we are going to see the in-ring, or I think, is it the in-ring return of Mina Shirakawa? She hasn't returned as of yet, so I don't know if this is going to be her in-ring return.
Let me check for Nagoya shows. No, and no.
So the Rumble will be her in-ring return. So that's going to be nice. She ain't winning, but that's going to be nice. There's not a chance in hell she wins this.
Every Mina Shirakawa. It's like, oh, that'll be okay. No winning.
The interesting thing is who is going to win this. I'm not asking for your prediction, Chris, unless you've got one. It could literally be anything. If they wanted to forward a storyline, you could have Kaguma win it, or you could have Rin Kadokura win it, or something like that. Just for someone from the current roster, B. Priestley, maybe. But I feel like this is a more face thing, so I feel like a face is probably going to win it. I don't know, Chris. What about you?
Same. I think it's just going to be... And it would be funny if it was like the Legends Battle Royal from Mania 70.
The gobbledygooker. The Iron Sheik.
I wouldn't... Imagine if I imagine there's a type of Battle Royal where someone could shoot, win it, and no one would notice. It's like, oh, very suddenly, Starlight Kid's looking fucking dominant. What the fuck is going on? Oh, she shot. Okay.
Looking forward then to the first singles match on the main card. It's the first of our special singles matches with Momo Watanabe taking on Nene Takahashi from Seedling. Now, I have a feeling that Stardom is going to win one and Seedling is going to win one. That's just my thoughts on this. We have been promised, apparently, by Rossi Ogawa that this is going to be brutal, this match. And if that's the case, then I am so excited. But I see Nene Takahashi taking this one. I must admit. I feel like Nene is far more likely to beat Momo than Yashiko is to beat Mayu.
Yeah, we're going to watch her whip. We're going to watch her Nene.
God, you're so
going to be good. That was me, man.
Anyway, carry on.
I imagine you love that song as a teacher.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely.
I think this match is going to be grand. If the brief sections we got them in the tag match is anything to go by. I think it's either going to be... I think Momo... I don't want to be mean to Momo, but she's probably the most... between her and Mayo, she's probably the most disposable.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
She's sort of like the easy in the fact that she can always be dependent upon them for a great match, but I don't think we're going to see her get many opportunities past her white belt run. So I think Nene could win, and then also that could set up a red belt match. I think that could be cool.
I do like that idea, I must admit, because I hadn't thought about that, so that's a really tasty thought.
Especially since she's really looking... It could be pretty cool, because it's like, oh, I've beaten you lot twice now, give me your belt. And I think that would draw less... Like, if we were to get one of them going for the red belt, I think that would draw less ire than if Yashiko did it, because, whether... Like, I know a lot of people don't see it that way, but, I don't know, that's just sort of a reputation Yashiko has. Like, if you click on her cage match profile, she has so many zeros because of it.
It's something that I think some Joshi fans haven't gotten over yet, definitely.
Okay, but when you first heard Yashiko, what did you know her at? What did you know her as?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
she's going to be tarred with that, unfortunately. No matter if she's changed or whatever, she is going to be tarred with that brush, unfortunately. Because it was brutal, but
it was fucking disgusting. Yeah.
But looking at just this match, and that's what we're going to do. We are going to be objective about this. They wouldn't have booked her if they were in any way concerned that this was going to happen again. And May wouldn't have stepped in the ring with it if she thought that there was going to be any sort of issue with this.
I think it's less cut and dry than that, but I don't think we'd have gotten this far into things if if there was much worry about it. Because by the
Exactly.
looks of what's been posted on Twitter, Mayu and Yashiko are friends, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but like in terms of like which one of the two I would continue having in Stardom if you were going to bring them back, I think Nene would be the better idea just because of that. Especially since Stardom is currently trying to cultivate an international audience.
Looking at the SWA Championship match, then that's up next with the champion Syuri taking on Konami in one of the deeper matches that we didn't realise, which is amazing. We ran through the background of this story last week as courtesy again of @1222 Dragon Moon on Twitter. The story of this match is amazing. The mentor versus the trainee. If this belt didn't have the stipulations it did, the compelling storyline, the compelling narrative is for Konami to win it, to finally overtake her master, and then that builds to another match later down the road, potentially for a bigger belt, a red belt, a white belt. However, with the stipulations that this belt inherently comes with, we are going to struggle if Syuri drops the belt, because we simply don't have the roster depth to give Konami a decent run with the belt with decent challenges.
The only two people she could really go for at that point is a Syuri rematch, which to be fair wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, agreed.
B,
yep,
which isn't going to happen because they're both Oedo Tai. And Julia, who isn't going to happen because she's above the belt.
It does sort of hamstring the match, especially in the current climate, especially where, Japan are so
constantly on the verge of a state of emergency, but never calling one. It's a bit weird. I say weird like it's suspect. It's just, I'm not.
I think they're just being careful, to be perfectly honest.
But yeah, so like honestly, it would be cool if maybe Konami just pulls it out and then a Syuri rematch, but I think it will be just Syuri until I think it's going to just stay on Syuri until Gaijins can start coming back and we can start having the revolving door of challenges again. Then again, they've been bringing in people from New Zealand, haven't they? Like from Australia, and they have a fairly blossoming scene. So that
Potentially.
I know, but it's one of those cases where Konami could it's feasible for Konami to win, but I think just because of what it is on the belt, and quite frankly, I don't mind that for the belt because otherwise it kind of just with the white belt and red belt already existing, it wouldn't have a reason to exist.
Something I will say is, with Syuri holding the belt has been completely legitimized. It does feel like that third belt, and we talked about, I can't remember who asked the question, I think it was Niagara Driver on the Discord, talked about, how in a similar way to the Never Openweight champions, it's seen as that third belt, and it has been galvanized, and it has. Syuri as champion has galvanized this belt because we've had some fantastic matches. We've had the Momo match, we've had the Izumi match, just to name two.
Mm-hmm. It's not quite at the point where she drops it, but the momentum. It's not like a Nakamura reign where his reign of the belt basically carried the prestige of the IC title for the rest of its days. I'd say RIP, but I hope it dies painfully. So it's not quite at that point, but it could if she held on to it for long enough and then ascended. That could be cool. Who knows? But for now, I think it's best to keep on Syuri until you can actually have more people who can challenge it. Because everyone who can challenge are either in the same faction as Konami or are above the belt.
Yeah, agreed. Match 4 then of the main card, and we see our second of the special singles matches with the aforementioned Yashiko taking on Mayweathertani. Again, like I said before, I think that we're going to have one Seedling victory and we are going to have one Stardom victory, and I feel like Mayu is going to take the victory here over Yashiko.
From a storytelling perspective, that kind of just makes sense because you could have one of Stardom's heroes fall at the start, and then that puts more going into it. It's like how Inoki used to book constant the character's not constantly happening. Like the outsider heel coming in looking scary, looking with this scary reputation that people for the most part, I think for a lot of Stardom fans, the reputation for, unless we've actually went out of the way to see Yashiko like we have in the last few weeks, like a lot of the reputation she has is through like whispers of like what she did. So like that's kind of cool. That's quite a cool vibe, and then that's quite a cool thing for the Ace to overcome, especially since Mayu's not really had anything apart from like the Tam thing, which sort of got thrown over the wayside, and I'm really disappointed about all that. But yeah, I don't see Yashiko winning here. I'm kind of sad about how half-baked the build-up has been. I understand it, but I feel like there could have been more. Like, I bet there's like more on Twitter or something that I just haven't seen, but like the build-up shouldn't be on Twitter.
No, agreed. I mean, the history between... I mean, you look at the Momo versus Nene match, and they've had the build-up, they've had the tag team match. You know, it's not been the greatest build-up in the world, but it has at least been a build. Whereas you think about the history that Mayu and Yashiko have
it was
had...
when they first turned up? Like... at the end of last year,
thing.
And then how excited it was when they invaded Seedling. You could have had more of that, especially since Seedling only runs every 2-3 weeks.
It does make sense. And like I say, with the history that Mayu and Yashiko have, you know, they run back to 2011. So you could play on that history, the fact that they are friends, the fact they are close outside the ring, build on that story, build on that narrative. But, you know... if we get VTRs like we did for the Great Eve Festival, then at least some of that is going to be explained pre-match. But I would have liked to have seen more from this. I would have liked to have seen more from the build. And it has been a bit flat, you're right.
Especially given how fucking hot that first segment was. We praised that too. Like, we gave that 2 segments and 2 podcasts just to talk about. Complete madness. It was like such an exciting thing. We were so hyped. And I'm still hyped. It's still going to be fucking great. But it could have been something more.
It could. You're absolutely right. It could.
Because, for example, Takumi Iroha only really showed up for her 2 Mayu matches and then one other one. But like, she felt more like a looming presence of the Mayu. She was that person who came in, beat Mayu, and then like it was sort of clearly playing on Mayu for the rest of the year. That's not really been that, because like May's barely even mentioned her.
I think as well, you've got to think that Mayu's in like 3 feuds.
Yeah, that's the thing, because like that Tam one is still basically not over. She's in a feud with Oedo Tai, and she's in this feud with Yashiko. Like, it's a bit muddled. It's very muddled. Like, I feel like I'd be more excited for this match if I hadn't watched the build-up.
Yeah,
like,
no, I get that.
Like, in terms looking at this kind of, like, most matches have benefited from the build-up. The only ones that have really suffered, like, in perception, is Natsupoi and Azumi because of how Natsupoi's been booked, and this because there's been nothing. Like, everything else is like, there's at least something there to bite on. There's nothing to bite on for this match other than like it being a bit of a dream match. And I'm sure there's more history to bite on, but it's not been shown on programming.
No,
like
no, even, it should have been.
Like, the Konami and Shiri stuff, that's not overly shown on programming, but at least happened in the fucking press conference. It's just...
Let's move on then. The Red Belt Championship match then, the World of Stardom, the champion Utami Hayashishita in a 3rd defense against Saya Kamitani, the challenger. We've talked a lot about this, Chris. We've talked ad nauseum, really, about this. I think both of us think Utami is going to win this. I know that you are a little bit skeptical about the amount of moves that Saya has introduced.
It's not just the amount of moves. It's like, I feel she could have saved some. Like, I understand her introducing match enders, and like, I understand her introducing new finishes because she needed that. She could have saved the Tope Suicida for this. She could have saved a couple of other big moves she pulled out just because she could. Like, she didn't have to pull out stuff like that. Like a Shinjuku face shit. I can't say that properly.
Shinjuku face.
Yeah, Shinjuku face shows or at like Shinkiba shows. Like, it's kind of needless at that point. And also, because like her showing what she has with moves in her arsenal haven't been a replacement for booking, which could have shown like because there's 2 points in the lead up to this that have been really good, and that's her almost beating Utami in the Queen's Quest Civil War, and then her pinning Utami in the 4-way.
Yeah,
beyond that, she's kind of just not been positioned as the challenger that she is.
I agree and I disagree. We talked about this at length last podcast, and I completely see where you're coming from. She's been getting victories, but perhaps they haven't been the high-profile victories that she would have been getting. And I think, she hasn't been built as strongly as Micah was built on the lead-up to the 10th anniversary show.
Yeah, and
Micah was built up really, really strongly.
You mentioned that Momo was built less, not as strongly, but like Momo's an established name. She's like a legacy name. It's like how you can insert, I don't know, like you like tomorrow you could insert Okada into the title picture in New Japan, and people will be like, yeah, that makes sense, even if it be a shit match. Like in like WWE, but the reason someone like Dolph Ziggler and Randy Orton constantly gets random title matches is because they've been in that scene for ages, and it makes sense just to slot them in. Saya's a new face. You really needed to do more than you have.
I hope this match is great. I think this match will be really good. I know that there's been crowd photos of, they had to cut a little bit out of the main event of the Kyoto show, I believe, because Saya went for the tope and Misty landed really nastily on her neck. The impact looks horrendous.
Well, she almost landed on the apron on the one at Sindiko face, didn't she?
And potentially she is trying to introduce too much, and I understand that. Maybe a little bit of it is pressure. Maybe she just didn't get the elevation. Who knows? I think this will be good. I think Utami will win. Saya will feel elevated, but she will go back down the card, potentially to that tag title scene. Maybe challenge for the white belt in a couple of months. But I think this is going to be more of an elevation job for Saya than, I don't want to say a serious red belt challenge because that diminishes the match. But you understand what I mean, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I understand the statement. I really, really understand the statement, especially as more play. Like you look at New Japan, All Japan, Noah, and DDT. They all have fairly old champions. Like even though Ibushi looks babyface, he's what 38. Like they don't have.
Yes.
They don't have young champions. Like so, it's a good statement to have, especially since a lot of people have an issue with the older champions. But like, quite frankly, I think it's a case by case basis. But I feel if you wanted to make that statement, there might have been better young people on the card. I don't know. I feel like I it's bad because I really understand and I really respect the sentiment they're going for. But I think they should have built that up either longer or better, or just saved it for like one of the different, like save a side defense for say Yokohama and give Utami a big win. Like she has had 2 big wins in a feud in a reign, to be fair, because she beat Mayu to get it and she beat Momo to keep it in her first defense. But I don't know, because like when you look at what people like, even not like, cause not everyone, like I'm gonna say most people don't watch every Stardom show, and there's a reason for that, and I understand why. But you look at like Twitter discourse, what people are most disappointed in going into this show, it's for Saya Utami. And they either needed to do more to make it a more exciting prospect, or they had to pick something else.
Last match on the card, then the main event, the Wonder of Stardom Championship match, and loser loses their hair match between the champion Julia in her 7th defense of the belt against the title challenger Tam Nakano. This has been built up tremendously. I don't think either of us can argue about the build to this. I think it's been great. It's been the most well-built match on the entire card, as you would hope, with it being the main event. It's the hottest feud Stardom have going at the moment. Again, illustrating just how good at Tam is building a story, and it goes to show how well that both women have done when you consider this feud went cold and then they've reignited it almost instantaneously.
It's like obviously not on the same level, but like how Okada and Tanahashi can stay away from each other for ages and then come back together, and they just pick up where they left off. I think that's really good. But one thing I will say about that, well, there's 2 things I want to say about this. One, Tam has to win. We've discussed this at nauseam. 100%. 100%.
Like,
I don't know where the fuck she goes if she loses. I think Tam needs to win. B, if you'd have told me, B, I have three things actually. Sorry. B, if you'd have told me this time last year that I'd be hyped for a Julia match, I wouldn't have fucking believed you. But I am hyped for this match. I think it's going to be brutal.
Absolutely.
And lastly, make sure it doesn't go over 25 because it doesn't go well when we go over 25. These two. When that match,
no,
it was so dull, so dull. Make sure, like these two are best. And like, how long was their Yokohama match rather?
I'll have a quick look. You carry on talking.
Because my favorite match with theirs is in the 5-star. That was like what 10 minutes long, a little over. Like these two work best in short, contained bursts, not in long epics. And I really hope they don't force it to be an epic, as is the Bushi Road way.
Their match at Yokohama went just a nod over 17 minutes, which is the perfect time. And we both said how much we enjoyed that match. I agreed. You've got this burning hatred between the two women.
You're not going to start a technical exchange.
Exactly. You're going to go balls to the wall in this. This is like the hottest thing in Stardom. They are going to go absolutely hellfire. I mean, they've already started on these last two shows in Nagoya. They've already started tearing each other's hair out.
But that's the thing. And here's the thing. Stardom aren't as committed to formula as a New Japan. But there is a Stardom main event formula. And most of that is built around being fairly short, contained matches. I hope they keep to that because they've experimented with going long, and the only time it really worked was the half an hour draw between Julia and Shiri, and that's mostly because that was shocking. Like, you didn't expect that. Well, you kind of did because we were theorizing.
We did. Like, we sort of did, yeah. We sort of guessed.
Like, while you get a lot of draws in Stardom, you don't get a lot of championship match draws. At least not while I've been watching. So that stood out. Whereas when Tam and Julie went 28 minutes before, it was like... Whereas another long match that I'm thinking of that didn't go well. But the point is, this is a roster that works best with a contained time.
Agreed.
And I just hope they don't... Because, like, again, I think there's been efforts to... Would New Japanize be a mean way to put it? Like, Stardom, just because of the association with Bushi Road, I feel like there may have been efforts to do that because they think that's what appeals to Western fans. But really, when stuff like that happens, you just kind of roll your eyes because it's like, why? Like, but like I'm saying that because that's a massive F. Because I don't think we're gonna. I think at this point, 3 matches in, they know what worked for these two. They experimented with going along and it didn't work. We're not going to do it again.
No. Agreed.
I hope. Like I've learned after like so many years of being let down, never to like give people the complete benefit of a doubt. I think they're good enough at basic pattern recognition to know to make this fairly contained, and also because you might need time at the end to actually shave a person.
That is true. And if we know anything from shaving heads, it is that the clippers never fucking work.
Oh, they never work.
Yeah, let's hope.
Use hair removal cream. Is that an actual thing, or is that just like voodoo you see in like TV shows?
I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
I've never used hair removal cream, so I don't know if it's actually real.
Yeah, it's real.
Oh, it's real. Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Okay.
Just quickly then, before we move, I'm not going to do all the questions, so I apologise if we don't get to your question. We're just going to... We need to finish rather soon. I do just want to say before we do go into the odd question that there is a possibility for those that balk at the price that Stardom are releasing this pay-per-view for internationally, you can get it for quite literally a couple of dollars because it's live on Samurai TV. Now, obviously, you can only access that in Japan. However, you can also get iSakura, which is basically where you can watch Japanese television. It's a couple of dollars, I think, to sign up for that. It's relatively easy to navigate. However, if you're going to do that, you need to basically give it a day to sort of sort itself out, okay, and to navigate the website and everything before you do it. And you can also watch it video on demand using that as well.
So basically, if you want to sort of watch it, do it like as we tell you now.
Yeah. listen to his podcast, do it now, basically.
Or alternatively, if you don't buy a VPN to get this, but if you have a VPN, you can just put yourself in Japan and jobs are good.
Exactly.
Although
try and watch it live because it would do wonders for Stardom for you to do it live.
What time does it start here again?
Just so people know. Is, I think, you've surprised me now off the top of my head. It's 4 o'clock. It's 4 p.m. I think the prologue starts at 4:30 p.m., which I think we worked out was 7:30 in the morning, and I think the card starts at 9. I think. I
am gonna double check that just so we don't get angry people.
Yeah, if you could.
4 p.m. Japan time to.
Yeah, it's 4 p.m. Japan time. Starts the prologue. I think it's about half 4 the program, and then the 6 o'clock is the main card.
So that's 7 a.m.
So the main card's going to start at 9.
That's better than Wrestle Kingdom. You have to get up a fucking 6 for Wrestle Kingdom, don't you?
Fucking arse crack of dawn, don't you? Exactly.
Yeah, and you end up getting a shit wrestling show. Whereas here you'll wake up and get a good wrestling show.
Basically, what we're going to do is any questions that aren't pertaining to Budokan, we're going to leave till next week. What I want to do is just want to answer this question, Chris, just because it specifically pertains to results at Budokan. It's from Velkage in our Discord, and he says, let's say Julia is losing in the main event. How long do you think, and how many defenses, and against whom will Tam get? I think both of us have said that absolutely Tam is winning this. She has to complete the story arc, she has to win this. I would like to see her have a really long reign with the belt. I'd like to see her defend against the likes of. I'd like to see a Saki. I'd like to see an Azumi. Both, I think, would be really, really good competitors for Tam. Ultimately, I mean, you look at who would potentially beat. Maybe at the anniversary show have the blow off against Mayu. Maybe. Something like that.
I think if you want that to happen, you need to find time to reignite that feud.
That's the issue. That's the issue that we've got at the moment. We've got that many things going on for Stars and Mayu in particular that the Cosmic Angels feud has sort of fallen by the wayside, especially as they've been building the Julie versus Tam thing. It's sort of fallen by the wayside, so they've got to reignite that, which is why I think if we give them long enough, they can reignite that. I mean, the Julia Tam entire feud has proved that they can ignite it on a dime.
To be fair, that was hotter than the Cosmic Angels feud.
I mean, maybe even a Jungle.
Yeah, Jungle would be cool. Here's the thing. With Tam, I think it's either going to be a long reign or a surprisingly short reign. It's going to be one of them.
It's not going to be an in-between feud.
Yeah, I think it's literally just going to be either like a Momo reign or like when Naito first won the belt. Like, you did it to get the moment and now quickly move on.
Okay, so both of us, let's do 4 defenses. Who would you like? Let's say that it is a longer title reign. Each of us give 4 people they'd like to see Tam defend against for the Y belt. So for me, and I'm sure we'll have some overlap here, but for me, I would like to see her defend against Maika. Give Maika that elevation. I'd like to see her defend, like I said, against Azumi. I'd like to see Saki have a match. I think that will be a good defense. I think Saki's deserved it, especially for what she's done throughout the Oedo Tai, and even through the bullshit Oedo Tai times. She was easily the most entertaining thing about it. And do you know what? I'd like to see Saya Kamitani go for it. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, in terms of like what could naturally go into, I think another DDM member would be a good idea. You could go worse than Maika, but I think I'd go for Shuri, just because she's running out of SWA things and she's had overlap already, so that could be a good one. It depends how long she holds it. When's Jungle expected back?
It's looking roughly about September, I think.
Okay, so because if you have a holder, okay, so if you have in my head you have 2 defenses between now, so I'd make that Shuri and Bea Priestley because she needs something big because she's starting to get lost in the shuffle.
It wouldn't surprise me if Bea's a red belt challenger soon.
Yeah, I can see that. And then have someone beat him with a 5-star, maybe someone shocking, maybe have a Starlight do it, have a rematch.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And then post 5-star have Jungle come back and beat her. If I was constrained to the 4-belt thing. Because then that's 4 months programming, and Actually, no, that doesn't take us to a 5-star because 5 stars in September. Yeah. Oh well.
Be fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of the podcast. Hopefully, obviously, you'll all be watching the Budokan show. I am sure it will be a fantastic show. We can't wait to review it here for you on the podcast. But in the meantime, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts. Please go and check us out. We are everywhere. Leave us a 5-star review and a comment. Just any sort of comment will help us out massively, and it helps us go up and down the rankings. So please go and do that for us. That would really help us out. Go and check out the website, www.podmania.co.uk, where you can check out all of our match ratings, including the matches that we've rated tonight. You can talk to us on Twitter at the StardomCast. Join our Discord. It's, I believe, pinned at the top of our Twitter in the podcast notes. So go and check that out. It's a really good place to be. Really good if you're a noob to Joshi like I am. Really, really good historical information from the guys in there. So please go and check that out. We also have merch if you fancy buying and wearing some of our stuff. Why not? No pressure, but go and check it out. Some of it's quite fun. And finally, you can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Chris, where can they find you?
At Chris Loves Puro.
And we shall see you very, very soon for our Budokan review. Until then, we'll see you guys again soon.